What skills do you need to know to go bareboat chartering? And so I'm just going to give you an example. Out at the yacht club, we had this guy, David, and David would always win the race. You had no chance. You were coming in second, third, or last, or whatever you come in. But David was the guy. So I'm talking to David one day, and he says, hey, what are you doing for the summer? And I said, well, I'm going down to the BVI and going to do a charter down there. And he goes, isn't that like a wee bit difficult? Are you not scared about doing that? I'm like, well, David, what's going on? Like, you win the races all the time. Why are you nervous? And he goes, yeah, I'm nervous about going down to the BVI. There's all kinds of different things. Like there's customs to deal with, and there's reefs and all kinds of things. So he said he was nervous. A few years later, he ends up going. But the point I'm trying to make here is that if you're nervous about going on charter, that obviously means, and it's not a problem, but it obviously means you don't know all of the things. You're thinking about, well, are there other things that I just don't know? Okay, well, let's figure out everything that you do need to know. And so what we've done is created a whole pathway with NauticEd. So we know what it takes to go on charter. We've sent tens of thousands of people on charter. We issue the license for the Mediterranean. So eventually, if you're going to go to the Mediterranean, you're going to have to come through us anyway to get your license. But we've put together a structured pathway. So let's take a look at some of the top things anyway. Just, what do you need to know when you go on charter? And first one is docking. You're going to be on a bigger boat probably than what you're used to. Maybe you're going to be on a catamaran. You're going to be in the Mediterranean, so you have to do the Mediterranean mooring where you back up to the slip, drop the anchor out over there, and release the anchor chain at the same rate as you're backing up, trying not to drag the anchor across the bottom. Or you're going to do the slime line method where you have to back up to the dock and put the dock lines on and then put it in forward gear. Watch out for the lines getting caught in the prop. On top of that, there's going to be a crosswind. There's going to be a big Arab prince's boat that you're going to be backing up next to that makes you really nervous. So that's a huge thing that you need to know. You'd be completely proficient, completely competent at docking. Anchoring. So you're going to be anchoring pretty much every day. You don't want to be dragging anchor in the middle of the night. You don't want to drag the anchor into another boat. The anchor areas are going to be probably quite busy, so you need to know how to select a spot in an anchor area. Chart plotter. So you need to know how to use a chart plotter. You don't want to be figuring out a chart plotter on a vacation. You need to know what AIS is. You need to know reefs and be able to identify reefs and see if a reef is going to be dangerous. Navigation, you're going to be going to different islands. So what's the time to get to that island? So you need to know, well, how am I going to get there and what obstacles do I have to miss? I can't go in that direction because that's where the wind's coming from, and you have to calculate, I'm going to go over there, then I'm going over there, then I'm going there to get to that spot. So tides. So the list goes on and on. There's a ton of stuff, and again, go back to that structure. We have this structure. If you go through our structure, that's called our Bareboat Charter Master bundle of courses online, so that you know everything that you need to know when you're going on charter. We're going to put it all together for you. And if you're still nervous about that, in terms of the practical things you need to know, well, get with one of our instructors, because our instructors have been trained, again, to go through that structure. They have a series of rubrics that they test you out on to make sure that you're competent at everything you need to know and be able to do when you're on charter. If you're still a little bit nervous, and look, if you don't have the experience, you should be a little bit nervous, okay? So if you're going through the program, you don't have the experience, you're not going to qualify, it doesn't matter, because what we do is have an instructional charter program, right? Well, we're going to actually put you on a boat with one of our instructors in the BVI or in Greece and in a location around the world where you're going to actually experience having a amazing vacation, but also a learning experience. And on that, you're going to be managing things like, how do you manage the energy on the boat, managing the water, managing the crew, managing the dinghy davit. There's no shame in that, having an instructor. I always say it's really good to have an instructor on the boat, because they know the area, they know all the little coves and the swimming spots and everything, so that everybody has a good time. And here's the last thing that you want to do. You don't want to try to muscle through this and just go down there and think, okay, I'm just going to go and figure it out. And all of a sudden something happens and the people on the boat don't enjoy what just happened. Make sure that you're going to have a good time. And the one way to guarantee it is to having done it before. So that's our instructional skipper program. Go down to the BVI, have fun, have an instructor. We've got instructors there. We've got instructors all over the world that can look after you and make sure that you're just going to have a great time. The link to the Bareboat Charter Master bundle of courses is going to be in the description of the video. And even for free, what you can do is just sign up at NauticEd and go to your curriculum area in your login, and you'll see the self-assessment document right there, and that's all free.